My mentally ill wife changed personalities in a week. Now she hates me and our kids, so she ran away and I don't know where she went. My wife and I have 3 kids and she's always been very protective of them. She never took her eyes off of them whenever they played and always ran to them when they cried. But I first started to notice a switch in her personality last week. Our oldest, 12, had tripped while playing and fell on her face. I ran to her, attended to her wounds, and held her as she cried, but my wife didn't even lift a finger. She just sat on the bench and watched us. I found that very odd and asked her about it. She shrugged me off and told me that I looked after her, so it's okay. That's not normal behavior for her at all. When our youngest got a paper cut, she was ready to take him to the emergency room, but our oldest fell flat on her face and she didn't even bat an eye. If that had happened a couple months ago, she would have dropped everything and immediately looked after our daughter. The next day, she was looking at me and our kids in an aggressive fashion. She also started claiming everything is hers, so we couldn't use it. She bought the couch? We couldn't sit on it because it wasn't ours. She made dinner? We couldn't eat it because none of us paid for the ingredients. It was really weird and she was so hostile towards us, as if we were a threat to her. Then, she stopped being affectionate with all of us. She refused to hold our youngest, stopped saying I love you to us, she didn't even bother smiling. Whenever we picked up the kids from school, she would always ask about their days, but she stopped doing that. And when the kids did try to talk to her, she would tell them to be quiet. If she was only acting this way towards me, I could in some way understand it. Maybe I annoy her, maybe she doesn't love me anymore or she thinks I'm cheating. But she also seems to hate or at least be neutral towards the children. She doesn't tuck them in at night. And I tell our kids that she's just in a bad mood and has a lot on her plate whenever they ask why their mom is being so mean to them. It really got out of hand when 2 days ago her mother called me, asking me if something was wrong with her daughter. Apparently, she doesn't answer her texts anymore and doesn't want to meet up with her at all. She told me that my wife told her that she isn't her real mother, which is something horrible to say, and we both don't know why she said it or what exactly it meant. When she asked my wife why, she just said that she excused herself and said that it was a joke. She never, or at least rarely, had an argument with her mom because she really loves her. We all had a great relationship with her up until this week and nobody knows what changed. It kept me up at night because my wife just feels like a different person. The thought of a mental illness did cross my mind, but can an illness really come out of nowhere and change a person in less than 2 weeks? Every time I bring up the issue to her, she just says she's fine, so I have nothing to work with. I told her that we're seeing a psychologist and she started screaming at me that I can't make her. I insisted, so she threw a cup at me, got up and told me that she wants her real family back. I don't effing know what that means. We didn't change anything. She then grabbed her purse and ran out of the house. I was worried sick about her and called her many times, but her phone was off. She returned a couple hours later and told me she is sorry for how she acted. She did a complete 360 and said everything is good now. She kissed me and told me she will explain it tomorrow, but she is just tired now. When we got to bed later, she kept looking at me as if I'm a stranger and it freaked me out. The next morning, I was looking forward to that explanation, but when I woke up, she had left the house. I couldn't find her and she packed some jackets, her purse, and 2 pairs of shoes. I called her parents, her friends, everyone she knows, but they all haven't seen her. Should I call the police now? Edit, I called the police and they will search for her immediately. My kids have no idea what's going on and I've had to lie to them. Her parents came over and they are just as worried as I am. Eventually, they found my wife at a local park, 5 hours after they started searching for her. It didn't look like she was fleeing or in a hurry, but just waiting, sitting on a bench. She was apparently extremely hostile towards the police and punched an officer. She is now in a psychiatric clinic, but we're not allowed to see her. My mentally ill wife changed personalities in a week. Now she hates me and our kids, so she ran away and I don't know where she went. My wife has been acting completely different and acts like she hates me and our kids. She's currently in a psychiatric clinic after running away. I talked to a psychiatrist and she assumes it's some sort of schizophrenia, but they can't say for sure. The next day, she told me she strongly assumes it's Capgras. She explained to me how the past 2 days went down. My wife arrived there, being extremely hostile, so she was put in a safe room where she couldn't hurt herself. She calmed down after a couple of hours and the psychiatrist was able to talk to her. The good news was that she quickly opened up and explained to her what she thinks. She knows that her family and most of her friends have been swapped by clones. She assumed that we, the clones, had sent police officers to get her and that she was scared of what we might do to her. She ran away because she thought we were going to attack her. She still isn't sure if the clones are malicious or not. That explains why she was distrusting me and always searched for some signs in me and the kids. My wife said that we act exactly like the real ones and our disguises are perfect, but she knew that we aren't real because she didn't feel any love towards me or the kids or her own parents. She also told her how she was trying to hide her distrust of us, because she couldn't be sure if we knew that she knows that we aren't the real we. Her delusion that we'd been swapped came to her one day before I noticed it. She woke up, looked at me and knew that I wasn't the same anymore, not the real one. Same with the kids, her parents and her friends. She hadn't had those thoughts before. She asked the psychiatrist if she knows who swapped us or why it happened or if this happens often. She tried to avoid answering her question because she wasn't sure how my wife would react if she gave in. Or took her out of her delusion. My wife asked her when she can get out again. The psychiatrist asked her if she wants to get out and she answered that she's okay being here. It gives her some comfort being with professionals and she now has time to think. It helps that my wife is a nurse and that she respects doctors a lot. The psychiatrist explained to me how they will try to slowly deconstruct her delusion and that it can take a short or a very long time until she fully recovers. She explained to me that it's possible that she might never truly recover. But the fact that she opened up about it and doesn't necessarily feel scared is a good sign. I'm still not allowed to see her as it could make her panic. She appears to be completely clear of mind about everything else. She knows names, dates, places, facts and everything she knew before. Only the thought that we aren't the real ones is now a fact for her. I'm trying to wrap my head around this situation and I'm mostly scared for her and the children. I can't hide how distressed I am and that my wife isn't at home, so I explained to them that she is in a mental hospital and she has to recover. They took the news surprisingly well and only asked when they could see her, to which I said I didn't know. I haven't felt this empty and I don't know if I should be sad or angry. Update, it's been 3 months and my wife is back with us. She is well and laughs about the whole incident. She immediately started her treatment at the Mental Health Institute. At first, they kept her sealed off from me and the rest of her family and friends. They taught her relations, how the brain works, and how to process love and affection. Meanwhile, I was at home and biting my fingernails away, while explaining to everyone what was happening. Turns out that many people I know and thought highly of, don't believe in psychological damage and mental problems, so that was fun talking about too. They somehow convinced her that she has a delusion. Apparently, she almost immediately believed them but said, she still doesn't feel anything towards us, even if she knows that it's a delusion. Her trust in doctors and nurses made all of this so much simpler and I'm so grateful for this. They worked with her more and let her first talk to her parents over the phone. She started gaining trust again and they kinda rebonded. Later, they allowed me to talk to her and I wasn't able to say a single word because I basically broke down in tears when I heard her asking a simple hello. She told me, it will be fine and she just needs some more time. I regained some strength and told her she should call whenever she wants to. She also talked to the kids and it really helped her. She laughed with them, told them jokes about mental health, and recollected some memories. Gradually, they let her meet her friends, then her parents, her siblings and finally me and the kids. That was almost 5 weeks after she got turned in. When she saw me and the kids, she started to cry too and kissed all of us. She said she was sorry, but I assured her there is nothing to be sorry about. They still kept her for a couple of days for some final tests and let her finally go. She got back into work fairly quickly and we have the great relationship that we had before all of this. There are still some traces of distrust in herself. She questions her feelings more often and glooms over stuff, but all in all, everything turned out to be good. Also, it's still not 100% clear why it happened at all.